Hello, konnichiwa, marhaba. If we haven't met before, I'm Speedo and welcome to my channel. Today I'll answer the question, should you buy The Last of Us Part 2 in 2021? I will discuss what is great about the game, what is terrible about the game, and then tell you whether you should buy the game or not. There are timestamps in the video description so you can use them for your convenience. If you constantly need help with purchasing decisions in the gaming world and you want to hear me talk about other gaming related stuff, consider subscribing and clicking the bell so you don't miss anything. Now let us start with what is great about the game, and don't forget that this game was the Game of the Year 2020, which means that there's a huge list of great things to talk about. So forgive me if I miss a couple of things, because there are too many good things to talk about. This is where the comment section comes in handy, so you guys leave a comment if you want to. Now let's talk about the graphics of the game. There are lots of amazing details in the game, like the facial expressions when characters are doing their dialogue, and there's this amazing cable animation, and the way that the characters react when you shine the light on their face, along with the huge list of things that are highly detailed. These details make this game feel extremely realistic. There's an entire video that showcases the attention of detail that went into the game, and I highly suggest that you check out that video. Link in the description. With this awesome combination of amazing graphics and awesome animations, you end up with a game that looks and feels like it's the game from the next generation, which is also mind-blowing considering that it's running on hardware that came out back in 2013. So the environment looks stunning and every place you visit has a level of detail that is believable. So when you visit an old abandoned hotel, you start to imagine how this hotel used to look like before the breakout. When you visit a hospital, you start to imagine how this hospital used to operate back in the day. And the list just goes on and on and on and on.
I guess it's down to the surgical suites.
Now in terms of gameplay, the gameplay might seem very similar to the original game, which it is to some extent, but it feels completely polished and improved. So it's a linear third-person action-adventure game where you have weapons and equipment, and you collect materials to craft bombs, silencers, and other sort of stuff. You can also upgrade your abilities, and also you can upgrade your guns. Although it's a linear game, you can explore the environment where you can find new weapons and stuff. The exploration is very rewarding, so it doesn't feel like you're wasting your time. The gameplay is very immersive and gets extremely tense where you start breathing really heavy. If you are completely blind, you can still play the game and enjoy it. If you are completely deaf, you can still play the game and enjoy it. If you only have one hand, you can still play the game and enjoy it. There are more than 60 accessibility options that you can play with. There is an entire web page that lists every single accessibility option that is available in the game. I highly suggest you go and check it out because this is really awesome. Most of us are lucky that we don't have any disabilities, so I really appreciate the fact that Naughty Dog took their time to make this game as accessible as possible. And personally, I think that this is something that should be mandatory in every video game. On the other hand, you can customize the difficulty of the game as much as you want, so instead of having the typical easy, medium, or hard, or very hard, you can instead adjust how much resources you can get, how much damage you take, the difficulty of your enemies, the intelligence level of your allies, and the sensitivity of stealth. I actually had mine to have the resources set to spawn as much as possible while leaving everything else at moderate, which made the game much more enjoyable to me. While some people may think that it's not a perfect story, which is something I will get into later on, it is an intriguing story. It is a captivating story. It is a story that will make you feel happiness, anger, sadness, empathy, fear, as well as any other emotion you can think of. The acting is top-notch, and there is deep character development which makes you either relate to the character or at least feel like these are real people. I would have made this section longer if I wanted to spoil the story, but obviously this is spoiler-free review, so there's not much to talk about here.
How many came with you? Just you two?
This section is where it gets really controversial because I will include some things that I personally don't agree with or don't really care about. But I know a lot of people care about these things, that is why I will include them. In my opinion, I think that it's a 10 out of 10 game because I personally don't care about these complaints, but I get why some people are upset with this game. I understand why you would hate this game. This is the main complaint that everyone has, which is although the game has a good story, you don't get to play as Joel. I mean, you get to play as Joel for 5 minutes in the beginning and then he just gets killed. I was thinking of whether I should say this or not because it's somewhat spoiling the game, but I think you need to know this before buying the game because it's the main reason why lots of people hate this game. To some people, this is what they are expecting when they're deciding to buy the game or not. You get a lot of flashbacks where you play with Joel, and I think these were profound and awesome, but again, don't expect to play as Joel because the main story does not include Joel as a playable character for more than 5 minutes. In my opinion, I don't care that much, which made me enjoy the game because the only expectation that I had is a game that is set in the Last of Us universe. But I know lots of people are emotionally attached to Joel that they are expecting to play as him in this game, and that is something I totally respect.
Happy birthday, kiddo.
What is this?
This is a thing that took a mighty effort to find. Take it.
I will talk about this without mentioning any examples because you can't say anything these days without getting completely scolded. So I have one thing to say. There could have been more subtle ways to inject these social messages into the game. Even a child can tell that these social messages were forced into the game. I don't usually care about these things, but I can tell that they were just forced into the game. I am a person who can ignore these things, and I definitely did ignore them, and that is why I was able to enjoy the game. But I just wanted to point this out because the way that this game does it is just disgusting. This is a minor complaint, and I am 100% sure that this will be resolved in the future.
24 hours later.
Unless they go with the same route of the first Last of Us game, which is remastering it so that you have to pay money for the game again. At the time I was playing the game, I had a PS5 and it was kind of disappointing that it doesn't have a PS5 enhanced version. It also doesn't help that the loading time in this game is just awful. The loading takes so much time that it's the type of loading where you just leave the controller, go drop a deuce, and come back. But as I said, this is a minor complaint that doesn't really affect the purchasing decision of the game, but I think there is a small minority of people who are putting off buying the game until the game gets a PS5 enhanced version. The Last of Us Part 2 is a game that sets the bar extremely high for future upcoming games. There are lots of great things that amazed me about the game, especially its exceptional graphics, immersive gameplay, captivating story, and the level of deep customization and accessibility. If you don't care about having Joel as a playable character, and you don't care about seeing social messages here and there, I highly recommend that you buy the game because I think it will be one of the most enjoyable gaming experiences you you will ever have in gaming history. Otherwise, if you can't get over these 2 points, I really don't recommend buying the game because it will be a guaranteed disappointment. It's been almost a year since this game came out, so make sure you get it used or at a discount. There are things that I have not covered in more detail because I don't want to be talking all day, and this video is already long. It's also important to note that this video is 100% based on my opinion. That is why I would like to know in the comments if you disagree or agree with what I said, or maybe you have more things that you want to add. So please make sure you leave a comment. I read every single comment you guys leave, especially these long comments that some people leave. If you're not the type of guy who leaves comments, click on one of the videos on the screen right now. If you're interested in some merch, you can visit my store, linked in the description. I also have a Patreon if you want to support the channel, link also in the description. So until next time, peace out.